Hello and welcome everyone to Programmers Week. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mark Nischalke. I've been with Cognizant Softvision for about 6 months now as a associate principal consultant, where I focus mainly on Microsoft stack application development and architecture. And today I'm going to speak to you about no-code and low-code development with the Microsoft Power Apps and the Microsoft Power Platform. So throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, make sure you use the Q&A module, and we'll post them, and we'll try to get to them as we get through the session here. So to start with, we'll talk here a little bit about what is the Power Platform and what are Power Apps? Why would we want to use them? What's the purpose? Who would use them? And then we'll go through some demos. Most of this is going to be demo, so not as many slides. So if we go ahead and get started, just a little bit about myself. So I've been a developer architect for the last 20 some odd years, mostly in the Microsoft universe, ASP.NET, C#, Azure, SharePoint, so on, working with the .NET framework. And you can see from the pictures and icons there some of these certifications. I like to go on some adventures, and you can see I'm a bit of a fashion icon there with the rubber ducky at the pool. But if we get into it here, I'm sure we've come across this type of situation before. We're working with clients, some business users internally. They ask, "Hey, I just need to update a database. Can you make an application for that?" And of course, you're busy. You as a developer, you tell them, 6 months, and their response is, questioning why. Why does it take so long? Because they don't really understand the nuances of the application lifecycle management, setting up the project and the coding and the testing and deployment and so on. They're not really concerned about that. They just want an application to, like they said, update the database. So that's where the Microsoft Power Apps come in. And it's a method, it's a framework that can be used for these type of rapid application development projects that don't need a full development lifecycle. And you've probably maybe have heard the term citizen developer or democratizing development, where it's no longer part of the IT department to build these applications, deploy them, get with the end users for requirements. So this is where power users or citizen developers who are not traditional developers can help and make these applications. They can configure them, deploy them, and so on. Again, it's not just for those citizen developers. This is a good platform for doing things like prototyping. Maybe you want to test out some algorithms on a database or something like that. So even traditional programmers can make use of this. And there are other aspects of it that traditional developers can make advanced components or so on that then these citizen developers can use. And the Power Apps, the Power Platform is all backed by Azure. So it has all your Azure services for scalability and securing it through AAD, Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. And these are apps, they're not being built for external customers. You're not building a website for this. These are more for applications running in Teams or in the Microsoft 365 platform. So enterprise type of applications. But you see, there's two types of Power Apps. So there's a Canvas and data-driven, where data-driven is more starting from a data source, and it's configures the layout with either a list boxes or grids or so on, you don't have as much control over the items or the components that are actually on the design surface. That's where Canvas apps come in, where you have full control over the controls and the behaviors of those apps. And we'll get to that in the demo. But first of all, we'll go through the Power Platform. What is the Power Platform that Power Apps is utilizing and based on? So there are the 4 applications are right now Power BI, and that's been around for a while. A lot of companies are using that for their data visualizations, dashboards, analytics, things like that. Then we get to Power Apps, where it is a suite of apps and services and connectors that allow you to build the rapid applications and deploy them and use them, again, in Teams or the Microsoft 365. Then we have the Power Automate, which is workflows that can be done. You can take work, maybe input from a email and parse it out and distribute certain information maybe to a database or notify others. General workflow capabilities that work across the board with the other the Power BI and the other Power Apps. And then we get to the Power Virtual Agents. So this is a great tool for helping you build those chatbots. Maybe internally, maybe you want to implement an IT ticketing service with a chatbot. So you post a message to the chatbot, give it some information, it responds back all in automated fashions. And of course, that can be worked with in conjunction with Power Apps or with Power Apps and with Power Automate and such. But then when we get to start talking about the data that's involved. We have data connectors, which are basically the APIs, the proxies, the wrappers around the APIs that other services provide. And right now, there are about 500 different connectors available in the Power Platform. Things like connecting to an Amazon S3 bucket or Gmail or ServiceNow or Dropbox, Twitters and Teams and so on. So, and you can build your own custom data connectors as well if you have an API that you want to expose that's internal to your organization. Excuse me. Now, I'm going to skip over the AI builder. That is using artificial intelligence to kind of build out the data availability. So that's a whole other topic. So we'll kind of brush over that a little bit. But the main thing really in Power Apps is the Dataverse. This is a common set of models, a common set of tables that have been developed by Microsoft and the industry in general with the Open Data Initiative. So things like common things like account information, our customers with names and addresses, and well, I'll show you that here in just a moment when we get into it. And you can have, I said, you can import your own data. You can create your own data tables in the Dataverse. And each environment within, and we'll get to that, each environment in Power Apps has its own Dataverse. So it's segregated across, and we think about environments in the kind of the traditional sense of maybe a development environment, a staging, a testing environment, a production environment. Each one of those has its own Dataverse, and you can methodologies to move that data as you're testing and promoting your applications through. So with that, let's go ahead and just jump straight into some demo here. And if I switch over. So when you start the application for the Power Apps, you'll come to your home. Excuse me. Close this. You come to the home here at make.powerapps.com. You come here to start your application development. And you can develop this. There is a plugin for the Teams application itself, so you can develop it directly within Teams. But here on the web application, the web portal, you can see you can start from your various different data sources. You can have starting from a template, the blank templates, and there's information here about learning, so you can get to some of the articles and courses to help you understand that. But what I was saying about environments, if you go here, you can see you have a list of environments that are available. And the way you create a new environment, if you go to the admin center, which I have open here, then you can create new environments. So if you need to start up a new development environment or a new environment just for a particular project. So what we'll do here, we'll start with a create one, and we see the different types that are available. Sandbox is that traditional development environment. You can update your code and do some testing and so on. And of course, production is that where it gets deployed and where all of the applications are accessed by the users. And of course, there's the trial subscriptions that you have as well too. And then you can see here, one of the options is to create a database. So this is creating that dataverse in this environment. If we go to the next step on the process, then you can say to create it with some data samples, some tables that are already created, and you have your sample data put into it. So we'll go ahead and also the security group here as well too. That's how you can limit access to maybe this environment you only want developers. Maybe you have another environment for a business unit or so on. So we'll go ahead and create that. It takes a couple of minutes. It's not lengthy, but it will come up and you can see it's preparing the instance. And while that's being prepared, let's go ahead and look at one that's already existing. So we can see, we can get some information. You can see that it is in the dynamics space. So that's where the environments are being created. You can tell the database versions, the times. You can see what resources are being used. You can upgrade this one to a production environment. You can look at some of the data and what resources are being used. But go back. So this one is already created. So let's go ahead and switch over to that environment here. And I may have to refresh. Yeah. So we'll go to this environment. Well, first we'll take a look at here is the dataverse. And you can see there are already some tables that have been created. You can see if we look at account, it already has populated with some columns, and you can see again some common types of columns, names, addresses, multiple addresses that you can have, and the created bys, and so on. Things that are common across a lot of organizations. And we don't have time to get into a lot of these other tabs here, but you can see the relationships that are associated with this. Here in this case, you'll see the created bys associated with users and so on. And then the data, when we checked off that box there, it posted some sample data so you can see the names, the company names, the account names, and so on. And you can look further into them and explore the values in the different columns. But the one thing we want to do, we want to start developing an application. So these are some sample applications that come with the sample database and such. And what we're going to do is I'm going to start a new Canvas application. And I'm going to use the standard Microsoft AdventureWorks database. So we're going to do a list of AdventureWorks customers, and we'll be able to just look at those, look at the details, and upgrade or update a couple of the fields. It's a very simple application, but it'll show you the possibilities that are available with Power Apps. So, I should have, sorry, I should have pointed that out when we were on the other screen. But you can see the two different types of layouts. So we can start with the canvas in a tablet format, or we can go with a smaller form factors for phones. And you can change that. You can change the size of this screen afterwards, but I'm just choosing for this demo to go with a tablet format. So the first thing you'll see is we start with, we have the overall application and we have a screen, and you can update these, and I'll do this to say main, just so we have something more than just screen one in the tree view that we have. Now, as you're building out the application, you want to put, obviously, you want to put controls and so on it, but we're going to start with, just to make it look kind of look pretty to start with. So we're going to drop this, format it, and you can either use this menu on the left, or you can do the insert menu here, and I'm going to insert a label. Bear with me while just do that. And you can see over here on the right-hand side, you can see all the different properties that you can assign to it. So in this case, we'll update the text and do customers. And I think we can make this a little bit bigger. We'll make it bold. We'll make it bold. We'll center it. And then I'll change this. So I think this falls, readily within that rapid application development here. So you have all the properties, you can change them, update them. These can be changed programmatically too, as well as just hard coded. But one of the first things that we need, though, we need to have some data. So we're going to access the data, and it could be coming from your Dataverse. So you can see here, these are in the current environment. So this is the Dataverse, the accounts that we just looked at, or any of the other tables that are in there. Or you can do the connectors. So we can show you all the connectors. I said the 500 different types of connectors. But I'm going to go with this SQL server here, and I have a connection string. And this is where you can do it with the integrated security or Windows, or but right now for this one, I'm just going to go with a standard, just a SQL connection here. So bear with me while I type, while I talk. And put in some contact credentials. And you'll see that this comes up. So there are different levels available for the connectors. In this case, the SQL Server is a premium connection because it has to access different resources, the SQL Server and so on. So it's at a higher tier. We could get around that with a custom API and accessing it directly through that. But just keep that in mind when you're building your applications, that some of them do require an upgraded license to build them. So we'll go ahead and do that and let it continue. So we've hooked up to the database, and we're just going to say for the customer table right now. Obviously we could add multiple tables for the connection. We have different connections to those, but I'm going to drop that in. And the first thing I want to do to build this application is I want to get a list of all of the customers that are in this table. So what we'll do here is we'll add it as a gallery. So in Power Apps, a list can be done as a gallery, and you can see there's already some templated galleries that are available, whether you want it in a horizontal format or vertical, but we're going to start with a blank template. And if I just position this a little bit, and you'll see that it was asking for the data. So we're saying, okay, we already have a data source. I want to connect this, but because it's blank, it's not showing anything. So first of all, we'll add a label. And you can see right away that because this list is connected to the data source and it's already bound this, you can see the item, the text being displayed is from the database results and the column company name, which is fine. That's what we want for this label. But I'll just upgrade it a little bit, maybe just do it as bold, just for presentation aspects. But I'm going to drop another one in, and you can see it shows another field just as its base start for email address. But I just want to display the first name and the last name. So you can see this item, and if you do a dot, it gives you some IntelliSense, some helper at least, and you can see all the different columns that are available. So I'm going to do first name, and you see that it already updated on the screen. So this is live data. It's pulling it live from that data connection. And it's not just simple one-liners here. You can do things like concatenation. I want to do this. So I want to display both the first name and the last name. So again, you'll see the help that comes up. You can choose whichever fields you would like to add. And there it is. So we're getting both first name and last name. And I'll just pretty this up a little bit so you can see it's live updating as it goes through. So if we go back to here, I want to change that gallery, just change the name of it so we can reference it better. We know if there are multiple galleries, you want a distinct name to it. So we'll call this one customer list. That's good. Now we're displaying this list. And one thing you'll notice here as well too, that if you look at the items, the data source, if you hover over this, click on it, you'll see this drop down that it will go into this table and be displaying the actual data that's in that table. Again, it's a live connection to your data source. And so if you want to find a particular column or see what's in that particular column, you can go there. So that's good. That's all well and good. Now we have a list of companies, and we can run these applications right from here. So if you're used to Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, so this is the F5 functionality where you can run the application. Right now we don't have a whole lot. It's just displaying that list, but we can run them and test them right here within the environment. Okay. So now that we have that list, now we want to kind of see some of the details of see the details of what's going on here. If we select one of them, we want to view these details and be able to update them and upgrade them, so on. So we could build out a form, put a bunch of labels and some text boxes and so on. We could do that manually, but with Microsoft Power Apps, it already comes built in with these forms. So we know we're going to be doing some editing. So we'll drop this edit form in here. And same as before, it wants to know what is the data source. So we're using the same data source. Excuse me. And then you can do the edit fields, and you can add the fields that you want displayed. So we'll do company name, email, first name, last name. So something very simple. And when we add those, you'll see that they've already been added into the form. And you can see here you can move these around. So maybe we want first name to display above email. So you can see how that automatically updates it. And we can change the layout of it. Let's go with one column, and I kind of like this layout a little bit better. And now we're kind of off a little bit there. So let me find email. We'll put below the last name. So we've got that, but we don't have any data hooked in here. It's not displaying anything. That is here in the properties, the item. So we want to select the item that we want displayed. And that's going to be based on the selection that's done in this gallery. And before I forget, let's rename this. So again, so we have something better than just form 1 details. So what we do here is we'll say that the details, we want the item to come from the customer list, and we want it to be the selected item. In there, we can see that now it's selected, and we can run this, and we'll see that it updates automatically as we're selecting. It updates the details form. It's great. That was a whole lot of functionality with very little code, just a couple of little statements there. But let's format this details a little bit more. So we could go into the fields, and we'll say, in this case, the company name. I don't want to be able to edit that. I just want to be able to view it. That could be updated somewhere else. But as you saw, there are a whole different formats that you can use. If you need to have like a text box or a text area with rich text or multi-lines, or you want that formatted as an email. Like in this case, we want to do last name. We want to do edit text. We want that to be edited, or want to just view that as an email. But we'll leave it for edit right now. But we don't want it to be in edit mode all the time. So what we'll do here is on the details form itself, you can select the mode, and we'll do view. So it's only in view. But now we need to have some way to switch it back and forth, right? So we'll add an icon, and I'll do edit mode, and we'll do a cancel so we can get out of edit mode. That's where in these cases, and I'll again update these so we know what we're talking about, edits and cancel. We'll name those. So in this case, when we want to click on the edit button, we want to change this form into edit mode. And that's again here doing the functions that are available. And these are like Excel-like functions that can be done. And you can see here the helpers. You can do a lot of things with the text, with matching and JSONs and lefts and so on. And you have, you have other capabilities here. You can do logicals for ands and ors and set colors and set math and so on. So there's a lot of built-in functions already. But what I want for the the edit, whenever we select it, we want to put the form into an edit mode. And there's already a built-in function for that. So if we do edit form, and you can see that with the IntelliSense or the help, it automatically selects the forms that you have within this application that are applicable. In this case, we have the details. So we'll just do details. And then for the cancel, we just want to reset. We have resetting the form. And again, you see it picks out the forms that are available. And now if we run this, we'll see that goes into edit mode, and that makes it cancel and revert any of those changes. So if we do just some changes, we'll revert those back. Okay, again, very easy, simple applications so far. That not a whole lot of code, just kind of dragging and dropping some controls, configuring them. But let's get a little more sophisticated here, I guess. So after you edit, of course, you want to save the form. So we'll drop another one in here. We'll find the save. Sorry, there we go, save. And we'll drop that one over top. And the intention here is that when the edit is selected, the edit icon will be hidden and the save button will be displayed. So how would we do that? So we already have the select here. We can use a variable. And to declare variables here within the Microsoft, the Power Apps application, you just declare them. You don't have to go to a special place to declare your variables and then set them. You can just do set, and I'm going to name this variable. So we'll do edit mode. And the value of it, since we are on the save button, we want edit mode to be false. And yeah, while I'm here, let me rename that, save, so we know that it's there. But on the edit, we also want, in addition to putting it into an edit mode on the form, we want to display it. So you can do multi-line here too by doing a separator with a colon, and we'll do set edit mode. And you can see here, because I've already declared it in the other function, it's available for use. So I'm going to do false, or no, actually, I want to do true here. Sorry, we're on the edit, and we'll link this to the visibility of these icons. So we'll do visibility, and right now it's set to true, but I want it to go on the edit mode. Nope, sorry. And it is case sensitive, so we'll do that one. And then for the save, we'll do the opposite. We'll do visibility, make that as edit mode. So if it's in edit mode, then it should be true. Yeah. Sorry, go back to that. Sorry, bear with me here a second. There's always something on a, there we go. So if we run that now, we can see hide, and that goes back, but it does not reset it. It does not take it out of edit mode again. So we'll make a quick little update here to the save, and on the select, again, so it's, yeah. So on the save, we're setting the edit mode, but we also want to submit that form and update the database. So again, there's already built-in function for this. We'll do the submit, choose the details form again. And then let's try to run this again. So in this case, we'll do this one. We have the, let's go to Progressive Sports. We have Keith Harris, and I'll just make an update there. And we'll save that. And you can see, and one other step that we'll have to do to get it back into this non-edit mode, but you can see it's been updated already. And if we look at the database itself, and we'll do a refresh, you can see it's live data. It's going directly into the database and making that update. We did not have to write any code for your data access layer and validations and things of that nature. It's very easy, simple to update. If we want to do one more thing here with the save, maybe we want to, maybe that's why I had a misspelling there. That's one thing. It is case sensitive, of course, and you have to be kind of aware of those. And that's where the IntelliSense kind of comes in. It gives you those hints. But what if we wanted to do some sort of notifications as well, too? So maybe a toast message. Again, there is built-in functionality for that. So we can do notify. We'll give it some text. Customer updated, and then it's asking for what type of notification this is. So we're going to do a success. You can also specify the number of milliseconds that toast message is displayed for. But I'll just use the defaults here for this. So let's see if that's going to work a little bit better. So again, we have this same one. We'll go to Harris. Progressive Sports again. We'll update, remove it, send it back to where it was. We'll do save. And then you can see here's our notification message. And unfortunately, this demo is not cooperating. It's not going back to the to resetting that. So, but these are demos. There's always something going on with a demo. And again, if we look at that at the database level, we can see it again. It's been reverted back. So that's a good case of where we're doing the connections in the different environments. You obviously want to have your data connection to a development data source or some sort of a testing data source, not working directly with the live data just yet. Okay, so now we have the application. We tested it. We want to make it available, so we can save these. I'll save this, so we don't lose that work that we've just been doing. And once it's saved, you can see as well too that you have different versions. Right now, we have the one version of the application. If I were to go in and make some changes, I don't know, maybe let's put these up here. Where is my edit? We'll put it up here. And then again, we'll do a save. And now you can see we have two different versions of it. The first one is the one that has been deployed and is being worked on, but you can then publish this version, or you can restore back or delete a version of it. But how do we make that available then in Teams? Oh, this easily done here by just saying add to Teams. Oh, let me do some of the details of this first. So when we go to the application, you'll see it now is in our app list. We can go to edit it, or right from here as well too. We can, on the context menu, you can edit it, you can play, you can export, so on. So, but let's just do again, add to the Teams. And you can edit the details of it by, second while it comes up. Oh, it's in another session because I already had it opened. Give it a second. Right, you can go in, if you needed to, let's see, publish, do the settings. You can have changing the icon. So I'll change this icon to just do a star. You can change the background colors, what gets displayed. This is basically what is going to get displayed when we deploy it to the framework or to the Teams application. So again, if we go back, we'll save this one more time. And then we'll publish it, publish this version of it. And then that should, we see and look at the values of it, we can see that now that one is live. And now we want to add it to Teams. So we're going to add to a team, and it's popped up over here on my other monitor. So you can see that it is asking in Teams, do you want to add this? Do you want to add it to a team or to a chat? So I'm going to add it to my team. And I have just one team here, so I'll set that in. Give it a moment to, no, I don't want to post it. And now that application is ready, working the same way that we expect it to, how we tested it. But now this is available in your Teams. You can deploy it to your team or to overall organization. If you want to add your apps, you can see all of the applications that you can add. So within your organization, if these are done, so here's my two, and of course I have two versions of it because I've been doing some testing. So there we have it. So very easy, I think, to create and deploy applications in that kind of rapid application development type of an environment where business users can come in here. And as you can see, very, very, very little code itself. There's no C#, there's no JavaScript or something that they need to write. They're accustomed to doing things like in Excel with functions and so on, then they can be right at home here within this different framework. You can also have this is just a single page, so we can also have obviously multiple pages in applications. We can do a whole lot more with it, but I hope this kind of gives you a sense of what is possible with Microsoft Power Apps and the Power Platform. So I guess what we can do here is, if the demos are done. So I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. I'm hoping that I've explained this well enough that maybe there aren't any questions. Yeah, if there are no other questions, then I thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Programmers Week sessions. Thank you.